Welcome to Marvel Brain Rot. This is the series where we walk through the quotes, references, and general fandom quirks that have been sparked by the Marvel movies. If you're new to the Marvel fandom, this is a great way to catch up on the fandom experience, and if you've been around for a long time, it's a great walk down memory lane. Today we are walking through Captain America the Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Avengers Age of Ultron. Let's start with my personal favorite, which is Captain America Winter Soldier. The main reference that has come out of this movie is...
Don't you say it left. Come on!
Which is the very beginning scene of the movie. Essentially, Steve Rogers is just running his morning run so fast that he is continuously lapping our good friend Sam Wilson, which is their first introduction to each other, and Sam is just getting progressively more frustrated. I admit that I have made this reference multiple times when visiting the Reflection Pool in DC, and this last time I was there, I filmed a video of it, and I was not the only one filming a video. The power of the Marvel fandom. Here's a brief little glimpse at some of the pop culture references that Steve Rogers has written down to catch up on, one of which is Star Wars, that of course I love as well, but people in the fandom were like, what is Steve gonna do when he finds out about Mace Windu, who, if you didn't know, was also played by Samuel L. Jackson. In this movie, we also get the iconic elevator fight scene, which begins like this.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Forever changing how Marvel fans feel towards a crowded elevator. In this movie, we also get a lot of Romanoger scenes, which is the ship between Natasha Romanoff and Steve Rogers. Nothing's obviously confirmed, but they do go on the run together, so there's a lot of banter and the like. So if you're a big fan of that ship, this is a great movie to just kind of do a deep dive on. Of course, this is the Winter Soldier movie, so we get this massive reveal and the iconic line.
Bucky? Who the hell is Bucky?
This movie also establishes the iconic line that is kind of the crux of the relationship between Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes, which is...
I'm with you to the end of the line, pal.
Which becomes an emotional focal point of this movie, especially towards the end, but you will also hear that line come up multiple times throughout Bucky and Steve's relationship. We get some really iconic Nat scenes in this one, especially this quoted line.
I'm sorry. Did I step on your moment?
Which also brought up the question, have we had this tech the entire time? Is there a reason we're not using these fake faces when going on the run? Can we move beyond the hat and sunglasses? Also a shout out to one of my favorite scenes in this movie, which is when Sam Wilson is having a fight on the 41st floor and has to make an abrupt exit by smashing through the windowed walls. And so he tells Nick and Nat to catch him in the helicopter, and then this happens.
41st floor! 41st! Not like they put the floor numbers on the outside of the building.
This will come back in Captain America Civil War, but there's this kind of running joke amongst the fandom that in order to get Bucky out of Winter Soldier mode, you just have to dunk him in water. And a note that at the end of the movie, Sam Wilson is playing the Trouble Man soundtrack while Steve is in the hospital. The Trouble Man soundtrack will come back in future projects. On to Guardians of the Galaxy. Obviously, right off the bat, this is an iconic soundtrack. I don't think any Marvel fan can hear Hooked on a Feeling, Come and Get Your Love without thinking of Guardians of the Galaxy. In this movie, Peter Quill probably gets one of the best Marvel character intros that we've seen so far, which is... It's a pretty long dance sequence, and it does come back later in a funny way as well. This is also an iconic scene where they're kind of introducing all of the different characters of the Guardians of the Galaxy. We get this line from Peter Quill.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know how this machine worked.
What a bunch of a-holes.
This movie is kind of our first, real look at Thanos. Of course, we get, fleeting in-credits glances, but we kind of learn more about him and the Infinity Stone. There are so many iconic lines in this movie. I'm not going to be able to name them all. Please leave your favorite in the comments. But two of my favorites that I think have made rounds on TikTok as well, or just might be my personal favorites, are...
It's just a metaphor, dude.
His people are completely literal. Metaphors are gonna go over his head.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it.
I'm gonna die surrounded by the biggest idiots in the galaxy.
So fun fact that I found because I was kind of interested. So Michael Rooker, who plays Yondu, They did let him whistle in order to get the tune for whistling the like arrow thing, but they do digitally enhance it, but it is his whistle. In this movie, it's really established that Peter Quill thinks that Kevin Bacon is a massive hero because of Footloose. In this movie, we probably get the saddest trio of words to ever be uttered in the MCU, which is...
We are Groot.
But we also do get Baby Groot, and there's a whole Baby Groot series if you want more Baby Groot. And now on to Avengers Age of Ultron, which is kind of the sad, ignored child of the Avengers movies. But it has some of the most iconic quotes right off the back, including...
Shit! Language!
Which people use all the time, obviously, when someone curses, and...
Please be a secret door. Please be a secret door. Please be a secret door.
Yay!
Which is just really wholesome Tony Stark content. This movie also establishes an interesting dynamic between Bruce and Natasha, which I'll go into later. But essentially, Nat can help calm down the Hulk and kind of turn him back into Bruce Banner by saying the sun's getting real low and then doing this weird hand tappy thing. I don't really know where that came from. And this movie adds some fuel to the fanfic fires by letting us have a party in Avengers Tower. In Avengers fanfic lore, Tony's constantly throwing parties in Avengers Tower, and the main character is always going to these parties, and Nat's helping them pick out outfits, all that stuff. We do get a really fun Stan Lee cameo at the party where he drinks a little bit too much and then stumbles out saying,
Excelsior.
And if you didn't know, Excelsior is a common comic sign-off that Stan Lee would use. There is some like unfortunate Marvel controversy throughout this movie. The first probably of which is during the hammer scene, where each of the Avengers is taking a turn trying to pick up Thor's hammer. Obviously, they're not worthy. But when Tony does it, he says that he'll be reinstituting Prima Nocta, which is just not great. I'll just say it's not great for women in particular. However, in this scene, we do see that Steve Rogers is able to wiggle the hammer a little bit, which means that he probably can pick it up, you know? Spoilers. We also get this line.
That's the end game.
Interesting. We also get a very clear Wakanda name drop. Ulysses Klaue is introduced in this movie, and so the threads for Black Panther are kind of being seen now. This interaction...
Nobody has to break anything.
Clearly, you've never made an omelet.
You beat me by 1 second.
Has also been making rounds on TikTok lately. The Infinity Stones are pretty clearly established in this movie. Thor sees them in multiple visions, and that's kind of the reason that they allow Vision to be created. As I mentioned earlier, there are some heavy hints that there is an established relationship between Bruce Banner and Natasha Romanoff. The ship name is unfortunately Brutasha. Honestly, the entire scene that they have at Clint Barton's house is just really awkward in my opinion, and also very problematic in how they approach the ceremony that Nat had to go through. We do get motivational speeches from both Cap and Hawkeye, which include...
You get hurt, hurt him back. You get killed, walk it off.
Look, I just need to know because the city is flying. Okay, look, the city is flying. We're fighting an army of robots. And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
Also...
You didn't see that coming?
Is a cute little Pietro line, and a little bit of back and forth that he and Clint have throughout the movie until it becomes the final moment between him and Clint in the movie. One of my favorite MCU moments that kind of shows the camaraderie of the Avengers is this conversation between Thor, Steve, and Tony, where they are talking about how to establish worthiness with the hammer, and specifically this line.
But if you put the hammer in an elevator, it would still go up. Elevator's not worthy.
I'm gonna miss these little talks of ours.
Which I think elevator's not worthy is just like kind of a continuous joke amongst the fandom. If you've ever thought that the ending scene of this movie where they're showing kind of the new Avengers recruits is a little bit awkward, that's because they filmed a couple of different versions. So in the Infinity Saga disc set that they put out, they showed that they actually had a Captain Marvel stand-in during this scene, so it was possible that they were going to introduce Captain Marvel in this movie, but then there was some back and forth of oh, that's kind of it's weird to put her just at the end of a movie. Also the mid-credits scene, which is...
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Is also highly quoted in the fandom. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if there was a reference or quote that I missed that you love from these movies, and stick around for the next Marvel Brain Rot, where we'll be talking about Ant-Man, Captain America, Civil War, and Doctor Strange.